I spent the day with Kashmir, a world-renowned EDM and hip-hop producer. You know him from the hit songs, the festivals, and the massive sample packs. And today, we'll hear his story.
I said, well, I'm going to ghost produce for a little bit. And one of the songs blew up.
His secrets to inspiring artists.
Really, as a producer, you are trying to orchestrate the best version of this artist that you can.
And how he went from creating beats at home to releasing a groundbreaking new album featuring the biggest names in the Indian hip-hop scene. And of course, we'll tour his studio.
Flew to India with like 60 beats and just went absolutely crazy.
Why is this new album significant?
For me, doing dance music for the last, 10 years or so, it was great. I mean, that was my break from pop music and hip hop music. And now going back to hip hop is my break, is a breath of fresh air. I got really excited after seeing the movie Gully Boy. It was incredible. It was an amazing film, and you're totally in it. Like, you believe this guy's story. I mean, he's from the straight up slums, and India is like the real slums. And he starts rapping, battling with his friends. And so after the movie, I hit my friends up in India. I was like, yo, is this like, what's going on with the hip hop scene? He's like, it's blowing up. A lot of the movie was based on this guy, Divine. So they repurposed some of his songs for the movie. And I was like, man, I want to get in with him. I want to see what he's all about. So started listening to more and more of it. Got excited, and I made a song called Lionheart, which was with Divine. And after that, I loved that process. It was so different from making the dance stuff. And I was like, I want to make a whole album. I want to go out there, and I did, for 3 weeks and just record with everybody that I could. So I got in the studio with just the guys who are really, from the big names to the up-and-comers, work with everyone, sometimes 2 people a day, and just went absolutely crazy. I flew to India with like 60 beats that I had made. So I did a lot of prep time ahead to make sure that in every studio session, if one thing didn't work, I'd have another idea and we could just get the perfect vibe with them. And yeah, it was so much raw material that we recorded over the course of 2 and 3 weeks. And then I came back and I've just been producing it. And of course, my connection with India has been there the whole time. And my connection with hip-hop has been there the whole time. Never thought these two things would merge. So when I saw the scene starting to blossom, I just really wanted to be a part of it.
So are we in your main studio, or is this one of the studios?
Yeah, this is it. This is my main studio, and the booth is over there. It's sort of hidden because the light isn't on, but it's behind you.
This is the desk you usually work at?
This is it.
Oh, wow. Can you show us around?
Yeah, of course.
All right, let's do that.
Absolutely. So I'm using the Apollo X6. I got seduced into the whole U80 family, so I paid, a small mortgage for all the plugins. You got some power sources here. Got the maxed out M1 Max. Yeah, love it. I love going off a laptop because I can plug in here and it basically acts like a desktop and I'm on the road so much. So be transferring stuff, it would just be too much all the time.
So you're actually taking this computer with you
on the road.
On the road, and you bring it back and you're right into
Exactly. Just plug in so I can work on the road.
Yeah.
Only the UAD stuff's annoying when you're on the road, but yeah, I just bring my iLok with me, and for the most part, I'm okay.
Okay.
Yeah.
Did I hear you correctly? You said you took 60 beats. With you.
Yeah.
So this was before anybody recorded anything. You had these beats ready.
Oh, yeah.
How do you prepare when you're meeting with a new artist and you're the producer taking something?
That is honestly such an important art to producing when you're working with vocalists, working with an artist. Is not even having to do with the music at all. It's about you thinking about the artist, thinking about the music that they've done to this point, and about where you can take them. If it's going to be their next single or a new way that people are going to hear them on a record, and then you go into making the music and you have a bit of a game plan. You have the things that you feel like kind of fit with where they're at right now. You have maybe a track you'd really like them to do because that kind of brings them into a new arena that they haven't done before. And in the pop world, when I was always working with an artist trying to place a single, I'd usually keep the song that I really want them to do like third or fourth, because oftentimes if you play someone the song you really like first, they're going to say, oh, I do like that, but if that's good, then you must have some better stuff that you're playing. So you have to work with the psychology of the artist and say, okay, the first few, you know, they're going to like, and then they'll feel like it was their own choice. They stumbled upon the best one, 3 or 4, but you've really engineered the whole situation, right? And I used to do that trick a lot. And in the hip hop stuff, you know, it wasn't so much that you know, in a couple cases I had a beat, I'm like, you are the guy for this beat. I'm not walking out of here until you get on this beat.
Yeah.
But because I was so new to the hip hop scene in India, which has its own flavor, although it's very influenced by the West, I wanted to be really open-minded to their input and what kind of beats that they were feeling and felt like worked in the genre. Because hip-hop, Indian hip-hop is really its own genre, aside from hip-hop. It's got so much going on. The deeper you go, there's just layers and layers and layers. So I went in with a folder for each person that was like, you know, 10 of these 60 beats sort of curated for them. And then I had backups in case those ones weren't clicking, which is so important because you don't want to get in there, even though it sounds like a cool idea and you make a beat on the spot. I mean, I know that sounds cool, but it's like, if they don't like that, then you're hosed. What do you do? So if you have like 3, 4, 5 options that you can go through, then you get the one they're really excited about, and you've already made it sound good. You added the bells and whistles, and when they're excited, then you get the best version of themselves out. Really, as a producer, you are trying to orchestrate the best version of this artist that you can by keeping the energy up, keeping the vibe up, keeping the sounds that they want to hear up, and you're ready to add things really quickly if you want them. That's kind of a lost art in production because nowadays I make a beat, I send it to you, you do some vocals, you send it back, but creating an atmosphere that brings the best out of an artist, and you knowing the push and pull of not to impede their creativity, but to, you know, push them if maybe they're doing something it sounds like they've already done it before, or if they're going, you know, in a direction that you feel like is a little bit too familiar, too basic, then you can push them. And finding your voice to push people as a producer is so important, because I used to do it in a bad way, where I would do it and I'd be like, oh, I'm a real producer, so I'm going to be critical, right? Then you fuck up the whole vibe, and now they're not happy, and now they don't want to create at all because they just feel like you're shooting their ideas down. So it's like judo. You got to take them and you got to take their energy, and then you got to move it a little bit, send them into the right direction, but in a way that makes everybody feel good about it. And being confrontational in a way that's still productive is a super important skill to learn. A voice that still keeps the energy up, but you're stopping ideas when you know they're not the right idea, and you're kind of encouraging the better ideas. And then the third eye that you have to open is like, well, what if I'm using my own bias and blocking a good idea. And you got to get out of your own way sometimes, and out of the artist's way sometimes, and leave just enough open for the good ideas to come through that you never would have thought of. These headphones, I'm always going back and forth, checking between the Genelex and these guys. So they're Biodynamics DT770 Pro. And they're comfy as all hell, and I find in a room you can, you know, start to lose track maybe of the objectivity of the bass, and, you know, just with reflections, the stereo image, and then here it's just always the exact same, right? So it's nice to cross-reference. The PreSonus monitor station.
Oh, cool.
You love it. I've been using that forever.
Are you switching between 2 different sets of monitors sometimes?
So I did have, what are the little cube things called? Yeah, mixed cubes. So I had those, but to be honest, if I could, I would set up these two. So these are actually my favorite speakers, the S3H. And I made...
These are the new ones, right?
Yeah.
Atom Audio.
Yeah, and I love those, but I forced myself because I knew technically it was the right thing to have more of a near-field monitor. Those guys are massive, so I forced myself to work with these. I might go back to the S3H, to be honest. The A77X by Atom are like my all-time favorite. Those things are just like boom boxes, basically. They sound great, a lot of bass, a lot of good memories with the A77X. This is, as a nerd, one of my favorite things to show off. Fastest on the market, Thunderblades. I got the 8 terabyte and the 16 terabyte, and I want to say they're doing close to 2 gigabytes a second or something of transfer speed.
No way.
So if you're running Contact and you got to transfer things, it's just super, super useful.
I need that because I'm doing video editing.
Yeah.
Yeah, to be transferring
Oh
videos.
my God, for
crazy.
video?
Yeah.
Game changer.
Okay.
Game changer.
Great. Now I got to have this.
They'll break the bank, but they're good. Got this this big wide thing. You know, it's amazing because you have all the space. It does affect your monitor. I wish I didn't get used to such a big monitor because now where do I put my speakers? You know, it's a give and a take.
Creating that relationship so quickly, and when you're there with different artists.
Yeah.
You had to everyone's different, right? And each artist is different.
Yeah.
And for you to switch between one and the other and still make a cohesive album. Was there a thread that kind of goes through the album with the music? Is it you, maybe?
Yeah, well, so that is a great question. Going into it, I knew an Ayushman, who's like my guy in India for everything. He knows everybody. If ever I need to meet someone or get something done, it's Ayushman.
Yeah.
If you go out there, he's like a legend. He's like a modern day Godfather or something, but he's quite a young guy. We were talking about how rappers often are going to lean into just talking about how cool they are and the money they have, and this could be a bad pattern if that just becomes every song. So we thought of this idea to have a story throughout the album. It's nothing groundbreaking, but it has an arc of this young kid who forms a gang with his friends and becomes like a Scarface kind of guy, becomes like a gangster. And this is told throughout the album, and by the end of the album, his friend's life is taken, and he goes back for revenge. And in each session, I asked the artist, I told them the story, and then I asked them to put themselves in the perspective of the character at a key moment in the story, and let's try to tell that part of the story. And even if they didn't do it literally, I didn't want to stifle them. I didn't want to make it so oh, what did he do again? I got to write this and that. Right. But just to get that emotion of, if it's in the beginning, he doesn't have all the money yet. He's a hustler. Or later on when he first starts to get the money and he's celebrating it, what's that perspective feel like? Or when you just lost your best friend, what does that emotion feel like? And then the artist takes it, relates it to themselves, and I think they appreciate it because now instead of just getting a beat, they've got a beat, but they've got a jump off point. So they got some inspiration. Over here, because of course we don't have USBs anymore, that is my hub, and it's powered and it's reliable. And down here for even more USBs, it's worth mentioning, all the USBs in the world you need. You got a rack mount USB right there. And I'm using...
I said no, it looks like, okay.
Yeah. I'm using exactly one of them. So here I've got, what I find is I've gone through these different webcams. If you guys want your webcam to look really nice, there's one secret, and it's your iPhone. And there's a app called Camo, which allows you to use the camera of your iPhone as your webcam camera, and it looks fantastic. You will look like an absolute pro. You can even adjust the depth of field on it.
Yeah.
It looks just,
So wait, when you're using that, are you putting your iPhone up here?
That's right. I'll do something like this.
Okay.
And I'll put my iPhone and you connect it via, just, what do they call this? Lightning cable. And you just look like an absolute pro. So if you want to really blow people away, that's the secret. Because I saw a guy and I was like, what kind of camera are you using? He's like, it's my iPhone. That's it. Yeah. So that's the secret. Okay. And the app is called Camo. Am I missing anything over here? Oh, down here.
How did you first start getting into music?
We're going to talk about the Chipmunks? So, backstory, some of the first music I fell in love with was through Alvin and the Chipmunks. And I think it was Can't Buy Me Love or She Loves You, Yeah, Yeah, Yeah. I thought was a Chipmunks original. And so I was like, these guys know music. These guys can make a song. And then, of course, that led me to the Beatles, and my dad was a really big Beatles fan, and I'm the biggest. Me starting to get into music, I was on the computer a lot as a kid. So I used to use Flash to make little games, and I needed the music for those games. Yeah. So online, you could go get a little loop, and this is like primitive online, we were dialing up, and then you'd find a website that would let you maybe download a little music loop, and then in Flash, in a really primitive way, you could overlay two loops together. There was something instantly attractive to that about me, I'm creating music now. Yeah. I discovered a program, Sonic Foundry Acid.
Yes.
Yes, where I was just overlaying things. I was just making hip-hop beats at school. I would bring them in. Sometimes I'd be rapping on them because I was really into rapping as well. And I'd make everyone listen to it. And I got addicted to this feeling of like, I made something, I put on a CD. It was like the completion process was really appealing to me as well. But in high school, I started a group with my friend David, and we were making some songs. You know, people liked it a little bit. Something clicked when we left high school. We did college for a year, came back, and got more serious about music, gave ourselves a year. Something clicked, and we got a song on the radio, and then people started coming out to our shows, and the shows started selling out, and we were doing like 800, 1,000 people, and we were doing pretty good, you know, at the time. We were like the big band, hip-hop duo, whatever, in the Bay Area. Song on the radio, we decided to go down to LA, and it was David and Dev, who was the singer that I was sort of fostering her, you know, trying to get her career going. I thought her voice was awesome, from the Bay Area as well. We all moved down, the three of us, to LA, and very early on, a random session came about with the Far East Movement. They came in, made the beat real quick. At the time, I was obsessed with distorting 808s and doing melodies with them. And that just happened to be, you know, the right thing I was into at the right time, the right wave that the universe was like, oh, click. It all just clicked in. And that song, Like a G6, happened and changed the three of our lives, you know, forever. And that was my foot in the door with pop music. It was a bit of a fluke. So my run in pop music was, you know, at varying degrees of success. Some sessions I get in there and just blow it. I just wasn't prepared. Like I worked with Rivers Cuomo, who's from Weezer, was one of my favorite bands of all time. I just blew it. Absolutely blew. Like we had the pre-meeting where everyone was all hyped. I get in there, I couldn't even get his fucking guitar to work, and after like, you know, 3-4 hours of me playing some beats that just weren't for a Weezer, you know, it just wasn't the right thing. And they, you know, he left. He was like, "Hey man, great to meet you." Never saw him again. You know, there were times I really blew it, but there were times it was just. I think we got a lot of success early on, and people want us to recreate the success of Like a G6. But the truth is, to be a well-rounded pop producer, it means having so many skills for the artists that you're prepared for. And I had to sort of learn through fire that a lot of stuff I didn't know from making hip-hop beats. But eventually I caught my rhythm. I was able to do some Selena Gomez singles that did well. Enrique Iglesias and I formed a really great relationship. And on his Sex and Love album, I did most of the English songs. So I did like half the album, and Robin Thicke, we clicked up really well and had a great relationship. So there were some really great experiences there. But as I looked around and I saw guys like Benny Blanco was a friend, Dr. Luke was a friend, they had it in them to make pop music, and it was just a perfect fit for them. It was a beautiful thing to watch. And I think I was a little bit different. I think I could make something really special if I slowly crafted it, if I showed off my attention to detail, if I showed off my interest in world sounds and musicality. And that's when it really occurred to me that dance music was the better fit for me. And I didn't want to be one of these guys that went in abrasively and came across cheesy. So to do it in an authentic way, I said, well, I'm gonna ghost produce for a little bit and just try my hand in dance music. And so I did that, and one of the songs blew up that I made for my friend, called Tsunami, and none of us thought that was gonna be a big one, you know, and yeah, it ended up being a massive song. Yeah, the rest is history. I've been doing this Kashmir project or Kashmir project, whatever, however you want to pronounce it.
We're doing Kashmir for this video. Original.
Yeah, we got brown people in the house, so it's Kashmir. So I opted for a weighted MIDI controller because, like you, I like to play the piano and I like the feel of the weighted keys. It's a love-hate relationship because this thing is massive. I had to custom this here to make it fit. And also, you don't get any cool CC controls. You just got your mod wheel and your pitch. And because I like to work with, contact and instruments that utilize the, different CCs, that's, not ideal. Look, I gave it up so I could have the weighted keys, and I'm 50% sure I made the right choice. So.
This is the M Audio Hammer 88.
Yes.
Great keys on this, yeah.
Yeah, great keys on this one.
I gotta have you try these Monogram controllers.
Okay.
They sit on your desk. They're really really, really small and flat, but you can get it with knobs, you can get it with faders.
Okay.
So you can get all that
The
control.
CC stuff and this.
And this,
Yeah.
and it sits really nicely on your desk. I'll show you that stuff. I really love it.
There you go. I went to the pro, got some tips. All right. I think, did I pretty much cover
What about this mic here?
Oh, this mic here.
Yeah.
So this is the old trusty U87, which, man, I probably got this thing like 12, 13 years ago, and it still works great. I since have moved to the Sony C800, which we're going to see in a second for vocals. But for me, just needing something to quickly record if I'm doing VO, etc., this is perfect. So it just, comes over here with the little crane, and yeah, it's perfect, right in my face, where you want it.
I see you're using Ableton Live. That's your main DAW?
Yeah.
Do you use any other DAWs?
No, I don't use any other DAWs. When I'm doing the sound pack stuff, some of the guys that I work with have used Reaper for quickly, if you got like a long track of like drum hits or something, it can, by using the transient, cut it up in the clips for you. You can run all kinds of little macro sort of things that are workflow, just kind of like life enhancers. Unfortunately, Ableton doesn't let you do that. Reaper is probably the only one, or maybe Bitwig, that I would consider. I tinkered around with Bitwig, but just, good old Ableton. Once they gave us comping, I was like, all right, Ableton, you could.
I know, comping made a huge difference.
Huge difference.
Yeah. I see your monitors are on isoacoustic stands.
Yeah.
Do you think they make a difference?
I don't know. I mean, it's not going to make it worse. You know what I mean? And it helps you control the height of it as well, because it need a little bit of height to get it to my ears. Yeah, does it help? Dude, I don't know. Who knows, right? People tell you they know, they don't know.
By the way, the studio has a very cool vibe. I like the walls.
Yeah.
It's like this velvet thing that's going on.
Yeah,
right
it's
there.
nice
They're
and
so
soft.
cool.
Came with the studio. I can't take much credit.
Back then,
yeah.
Did anybody know that KSHMR was also the cataracts guy that made like a G6?
So it was very important to me to separate the two.
Yeah, okay.
So for the first year and a half or so, I didn't show my face at all. And that, didn't play shows, because by not playing shows, I could just make so much music, And DJs, I'm finding out now, we got to juggle the time between touring and making music, and it's tough. It's really tough.
I mean, it's nice that you made time for us. Actually, you're in the middle of a tour. You're doing shows before this, and you're doing more shows right after.
But I love you, honestly. Like, I love your channel, and so this is a joy for me. Like, that's, I'm not just saying that,
No, appreciate that.
I would, I'd clear the whole day for this, and have, so. Yeah.
Too kind. You're too kind.
Yeah.
All right, so when you were just getting started with music, you
Yeah.
were really young, you didn't know much about the industry.
Yeah.
But you were kind of picturing how you'd like things to be in your music career. What did you picture back then?
Doing something with music would have been just fine for me. I loved music, so I was trying a lot of different things because I knew I just wanted to get my foot in the door. So I'd try singing on things, I would try making the beats, just sort of attacking it from all angles, because I recognized in myself that I could do this thing and never get fatigued. Like, music just made me happy, just created these good feelings in me. I don't know if this is naive, but I felt that if I love doing this so much and I can just keep doing it, well, eventually I'm not going to suck. Eventually somebody is going to recognize it, and I'll land somewhere.
Do you think that's what made you get noticed? It's just by putting out so much stuff?
In the beginning, you need to just like develop, right? And you just do it over and over again through repetition. And part of that repetition involves the universe responding back to your music. It's not even just you doing the thing, but you putting it out there, you seeing what your friends say about it, and then things start clicking, and there's an addictive feeling if you make something and you see your friends bobbing your head to it, you're like, I want to do more, and that can drive you. I always tell people, find a singer. If you're just a producer, find a singer and try to produce like a 5-6 track EP with them, because now you've got pressure from them because they want it done too, and now you're feeding off of each other. Put yourself in a position to learn and get forced to create and create and create, and if you really want this music thing, then you can only juggle so many things. Like, the way I think about it is, if I tell you to walk down some stairs and you're holding one thing in your hand, like, you're not gonna drop it. There's nobody. Now, if I give you two things, the chances of you dropping one of them goes up astronomically. Like, this could be the Fabergé egg, the most important thing, and this is like car keys, like, who even cares? And you're walking down, the car keys drop, and you freak out and you throw away the Fabergé egg, you know? The chances of plan A not working out, I think, go up astronomically when you start introducing plan B, because also that stuff introduces comfort into your life. And you got to recognize about this monkey brain of ours is it likes comfort, you know, and the comfort gets addictive. And, well, if I give up this other thing, then I'm not going to have my car, I'm not going to have this, I'm not going to have that. Yeah. And those comforts, you almost want to put yourself in an uncomfortable position where you're just totally dedicated. If you've identified that as this is your thing, music is your thing, I think it's the only way to do it.
Creates the drive.
Yeah, it creates the drive. Let's see, over here, we got this is, I think when I first got into the DJ mag, and I was the highest new entry in DJ mag for 2015. I don't know what 7-Up had to do with it, but.
The sponsor.
A sponsor, yeah. I was the next up
That's
DJ.
Huge.
That's cool. And then I got some Mexican candy. This is my favorite. I don't know how deep we want to go, but I love spicy things.
We do too.
Yeah. I mean, Indians and Mexicans, quite a lot of shared love.
This is spicy candy?
That's right. There you go.
Vero.
Yeah, give it a shot. It's it's a lot to take in.
Wow.
It's a lot to take in when you're first time, but it's different.
I love this.
I love it too. Yeah.
I love this.
Yeah.
Okay, wow. I found my newest favorite candy.
Yeah.
It's like instantly sour. You can actually taste a chili powder kind of flavor to it too.
Yeah.
I don't even taste anything sweet yet. It's just like sour and chili powder.
Yeah. It's awesome. So yeah, cool. Got that. It's got the little fridge with the necessities. I drink a lot of kombucha. So you see that down there? A lot of kombucha, a lot of sparkling water.
How do you want to be known?
Oh, that's a great question. Well, it's a really great feeling. You get this feeling too. It's why we make music. You know, when you make something and you love it and it just feels right, like you get that feeling in your soul. And when you put it out into the world and other people like it too, it's really rewarding because now you've got the shared experience. So if I can make songs, you know, that people share that happiness with, that's part of it. And then the producing, even if no one heard the music, I think I'd still love producing music. So to be important to that community, which has always been the most important to me, that's hopefully going to be my legacy. And I've tried to do that with the sound packs and to help other producers. Because I'm going to get old and out of touch, but maybe I can make the tools that help them make the music that creates that same happiness. And yeah, that'd be on my tombstone. I'd be happy.
I think the music, your music, and probably even the sound packs are gonna outlive you eventually, which is
I think the sound
amazing
packs,
thing.
Yeah, I think the sound packs too, because now you can make whatever you want with it. You know what I mean?
Yeah, not just sample packs though. Now you got plugins too.
Yeah, got plugins too. Sometimes you see something like a problem that needs a solution, and that's when you can come up with the plugin, you know, in regards to workflow.
Very useful stuff that you've created. You have the reverb one. You also have, what's the one that you have, what's it called again? The one that you can...
Chain?
Chain.
Cashmere chain.
You have one effect on one track, and then you can actually mirror the settings from that same effect on multiple tracks. So useful for auto-tune. I already use it for auto-tune.
Yeah. Okay, awesome, yeah. So what I found is with vocal projects, I'm doing stacks and stacks and stacks, and I find a vocal chain that works good for a vocalist, and then I just copy and paste it. And then later, if I wanted to see, it really occurred to me, not just for the auto-tune, but thinking about compression and about how compression on individual tracks adds up as an overall sound, like on a stack or something. And there was no easy way to, in real time, seeing, okay, what do 10 layers sound like with a different compression setting? So what's the cumulative effect of that? Because it's not the same as just putting it on your bus. I like to find ways to get rid of the hurdles, because then you're picking the precise, most accurate decision to your taste. Yeah.
This is one of those plugins that is super practical. I mean, it solves a very specific problem in the studio. I love plugins like that. You guys really got to check it out. I'll put a link to it in the description. Are you running a subwoofer with the Gem?
Yeah, do full cal. I got my pedal there, and I've got my footrest, which is very important. I always need to do something with my feet. I'm like a little monkey. I'm like sitting in my chair, sitting on my legs. I kind of curl up. Yeah, I like to move a lot while I'm producing. I found these Govee lights work well with my Alexa. So I got the whole, hey Alexa, turn on the lights thing. Yeah, just Govi. That's it. Oh, God.
Coffee or tea?
Oh, tea.
Tea?
Yeah.
Grew up with tea?
Grew up with tea in India, of course, lots of tea all the time. So like growing up, I spent a lot of time in India visiting my grandparents, and so yeah, simple masala chai or even Kashmiri tea, you know, like the pink stuff.
Oh,
yeah.
Kashmiri tea. Okay.
Yeah.
Of course. Yeah. iPhone or Android?
Oh, iPhone. Yeah.
Okay.
If I see someone with green text, I'm like, ugh, get out of here. It's
Delete.
disgusting.
Dogs or cats?
Dogs. But my last girlfriend, who I'm still really good friends with, she is a cat person. She turned me on to cats and to loving cats. But still, dogs, they just love you, man, and they're fun. And, you know, just let's have fun in life. Cats are knocking shit over, and, you know.
Oh, yeah, yeah.
Let's all take it easy and go to the park. Dogs are more my vibe, I would say.
And we met your 2 dogs.
You did, yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
They were so cute.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Thank you.
I love dogs, too. We have a cat, too, and our cat and dog get along pretty well.
I love that.
Yeah. Yeah.
Now that's cute. Whenever you see 2 unlikely animals become friends, it just melts my heart.
They do hilarious stuff together. The cat loves the dog even more, and he's always trying to get her to play.
Oh, really?
Yeah, and she's kind of like, I'm not bothered. I want to hang out with the humans instead. But yeah, the cat just loves the dog.
Love that.
All right, nightclub or Netflix?
Oh. Netflix. Yeah. I mean, my whole life is nightclubs, you know?
Yes,
so
that totally makes
I've had
sense.
my fill. Yeah. And now that the new Black Mirror is out, boy, it's
Is it out?
Oh, it's out.
Oh, okay.
It's Netflix.
New reason.
Big time for me, baby. Yeah.
I'm taking a couple days off of work.
Yeah.
All right, favorite Indian food?
Oh, that's a tough one. I guess tandoori chicken is probably my favorite. Like if I had to pick one thing, I think nobody does vegetables better than Indians.
Absolutely agree.
Yeah. And it probably has to do with such a large population is vegetarian. They were on it before all you guys. Actually, an interesting thing about India is that they will specify non-veg when you want to eat meat. I think that's a interesting way to look at it. Instead of the normal thing being meat, and then they specify non-veg as if veg was the normal thing.
Veg is the norm over there.
Yeah, it's a different perspective.
Yeah.
Whatever my grandma used to make with ghee, what is just like this yellow thing that stains your fingers, that was great.
Ghee makes everything better. Right?
Yeah.
How do you balance everything you do?
You just do the best you can. I mean, I have to play shows. I don't have to. Like, I enjoy playing shows. It's fun, but I have to balance that with making music. So typically what I'll do is just look at the tour schedule and set aside a certain amount of time that's just dedicated to making new music. So I'll bring a good pair of headphones so I can work on the road. And yeah, I don't know. I usually just take on all the stuff I'm excited about and then figure out how to do it later. All right. So over here.
Ooh, getting the keys out.
Oh yeah, getting the keys out. Next to those speakers, probably the most expensive thing, next to the S3H. The S3H, yeah, might be a little more pricey for the pair, but obviously this is a famously expensive microphone, and yeah, I think it sounds pretty good. I'm always putting it back in the case to make sure it stays nice and fresh, but yeah, you stick it on there. And yeah, everybody knows the Sony C800.
Sony C800, yeah.
It's a little, I gotta be honest, it's a little bright. Doesn't work for everything, but for vocals, it mostly does the trick. I've mostly been happy. And you know you're not, you know you're doing the right thing if you got the C8. It's like, you can rest easy knowing you got a pretty good microphone. So I pulled the trigger, did the C800.
And you've been happy?
I've been mostly happy, yeah.
Is there any specific way you process it?
Yeah, so
it's a little bright.
So I go and clean. I don't record with processing on it. To warm it up, yeah, you could go through like the Neve preamps and on UAD, do some EQing. I don't know. Whenever I go to studios where they do some processing going in, I'm always like, that sounds great. I should do that. But there's something about the destructive nature of it that always I'm like, just do it plugins, you know?
Yeah.
When you're recording vocals, do you have a
I do like going through a BAE 1073 because I find that it's so hard to, when I use the plug-in versions of the 1073, and then as soon as I used the real thing, I was blown away.
Is it coloring it?
Yeah, it's coloring it, and it's just adding something to the sound that I just haven't been able to replicate with the plugins. So that's the one thing that I would say. Des adds something really nice on the way in, but everything else, I'm like, I'm a little too scared to commit.
Yeah, to commit.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. All right. Well, maybe I'll add one thing on the way in.
Try the BAE 1073. It is really nice with pretty much every mic that I've tried it.
Your outreach is positive and it's global. There's also a part of you that's consistently connecting with the Indian or South Asian public.
Yeah.
Why is that so important to you?
I'm half Indian, obviously, so India was a big part of my life growing up and going to India and seeing my grandparents and a part of my identity. And it's such a rich wealth of inspiration and art and culture to draw from. It's exciting to me. It's not the everyday Western stuff that you find, not that that's not great. I mean, I actually have a deep appreciation for both, and blending the two things is really exciting to me. And almost like an outsider looking in some ways with Indian music, you know, I can kind of pick parts and create interesting combinations, and I don't know, I just have found endless inspiration in that. And I have so many fans of mine are in India, and that's just been a huge part of the Kashmir story is going to India, those shows where, you know, I put everything into them. Some of my best memories of a show ever, bringing my grandpa up on stage, doing the dedication of my grandma, and just the love. We're all in a moment together, you know, and Indians aren't, I can't speak for everybody, but they're not as weighed down by cool, and they're much more expressive with love. And you know, you see two guys holding hands. It's not a sexual thing. It's just they're expressing their, you know, friendship. And it's a beautiful thing in India. There's a lot of just, you know, love and no need to feel, oh, that's cool or that's not cool or that's weird. And that's always been something that I felt like was maybe a little bit different about me just growing up in America. Just feeling, I don't know, like I had big emotions, you know, and I lived for big emotions. The way a song made me feel or made me cry, or a moment in a movie made me feel or made me cry. And I knew that my whole life was supposed to be about kind of homing in on those emotions, you know, and living in those emotions and creating out of those emotions. So, so India, in some deeper way, I think that's what it's imparted in me on top of my heritage. And
what do you want your legacy to be?
Oh, it's a great question. You know, I always say, I think happiness is being important to whatever is important to you. So for a large part of my life, producing, the world of producing, the community of producing, it was the most important thing to me. That feeling that I would get when a new CD would come in the mail with samples and then I could go create. And I've tried to do that now for the next generation of producers with the sample packs and creating tools for them to use. My hope would be that would be my legacy. Even if that was all that I did, if I created a lot of tools that people could use to make music that enable them to express themselves and connect to other people, and then make some hits and have fun in life and get some fucking money and go do all that stuff too, you know, because people use the packs for that, and I love it. You know, so even if I didn't make a dime off of it, that is really fun to just see something you make go out into the world, be used by others to create more, and it carries on this cycle. And it's like, oh, that thing that I loved that got me through my life when I was down and everything, I took that flame, I didn't let it go out. You know, you pass it along. And then of course the music also, like the things that I've created were some of them, you know, not some of them are boring, but a lot of them were so special to me, and I'm so proud of them. And I'm just, to see other people that got to have good experiences and good moments with those songs too, it gave me this, like, you know, confirmation that the universe does listen. Like when you really feel something and you're like, well, if not this, I don't know what. This sounds amazing to me. I thought I just made, this thing's incredible. As I'm making it, I'm getting the feeling.
What's next for Kashmir?
Pretty much finished this Indian hip hop album, Karam, which is going to be coming out soon or already out, depending on when this video drops. And then I'm just going full force, you know, dance music. I still love going out, playing those shows.
Thank you so much for having us in your studio.
Yeah,
Thank you for all the advice you've given to the audience. It was such a pleasure to be here with you today.
Pleasure's all mine. Long-time fan, first-time caller.
I appreciate that. You'll find links to everything Kashmir below this video, and
make the music you love.
there you go. Bye.
All right.
That's him.
I'm gonna kill this thing. I'm gonna do so great. You got this. You are the Fury. When you watch the movie, you'll understand that.